publicly. They also claimed that Jackson's mother at one time was a prostitute. They even claimed at one time that Jackson's mother was a prostitute. I mean, that is pretty dirty politics for 1828. Now, if you were Andrew Jackson or Andrew Jackson's mother or his wife Rachel, these continued attacks, what would they do to you? If you heard yourself being called these names, or your wife being called these names, or your mother being called these names, would it put a little bit of stress on the family? Certainly would. Really took a tremendous toll to listen to people say those awful things about him. And what results in those name calling? Not only pressure, but what? Worst thing in the world, my face gets hot when I get what? Embarrassed. It causes tremendous embarrassment. So can you imagine this? Can you imagine your husband or your son running for president and people continually saying that your wife is an adulteress and a you-know-what, and your mother was a prostitute? Well, Jackson forged on, and despite the pressure and embarrassment, he forged on, and he really got a break just prior to this election occurring. Really got a break, and this is going to make the difference in him winning. By the election of 1828, all white male citizens in the United States received the right to vote. By the election of 1828, all white male citizens in the United States of America received the right to vote. Now, these people that would be more willing to support Jackson, would they be wealthy people or common people? Common. And the more people that got a chance to vote, who was being suppressed the right to vote? Wealthy people or poor people? Poor people. So when this ruling came out that all white males had the right to vote, that didn't add a bunch of rich people to the bucket. It added a whole bunch of poor common people. Well, these poor common people liked Jackson because he was a common man. And so all these new voters that all of a sudden came out that had the right to vote, these common people, who frankly made up a majority of the nation's population at the time, all voted for Jackson in this election. Well, Jackson took advantage and he earned 178 electoral votes compared to just 83 for Adams, and he defeats the incumbent president and becomes the nation's 7th commander-in-chief. So, because of this common vote, Andrew Jackson wins a sweeping victory over President Adams. He earns 178 electoral votes to just 83 for President Adams. When the smoke cleared, believe it or not, John C. Calhoun's going to continue to serve as vice president under Jackson as he did under Adams. So, there's a little joy in the Jackson family and a little redemption, right? However, that ends on December 22nd, 1828. And this will be prior to Jackson being inaugurated, right? Because they don't get inaugurated until the new year. Well, on December 22nd, 1828, what do you think happened? Anybody want to guess? His wife died of a heart attack. His wife dies of a heart attack on December 22nd, 1828. Now, Jackson was convinced that who killed his wife? What? Well, not only Adams, but what? The Republican Party, for their relentless attacks on her and the pressure and embarrassment that she felt during the electoral process. Jackson was convinced that his political opponents killed his wife, that their relentless attack on her character. He was incredibly saddened. He loved his wife very, very much, and he was so much in grief that he actually considered not going for the inauguration and not becoming president of the United States. He thought about that seriously for a period of time. So he was convinced that his political opponents killed his wife with their relentless assault on her character, and he was so in grief that he really actually considered not going to Washington, D.C. to be inaugurated in as president. Does that sound like something that you might feel? Certainly. But you don't know Andrew Jackson, because you know what he did? He pulled up his bootstraps after thinking about it, and he thought, I'll be damned if I'm going to let my political opponents get the best of me. So his philosophy was, after he got through the grief, the best he could, is he decided he would go to Washington, D.C., he would be inaugurated as president, and he would handle those political opponents in his own way. He was a revengeful man, and you're going to see some examples of this. So Jackson decides that he will go to Washington, D.C., despite the fact that he considered not, and he'll handle those political opponents in his own way once he gets there. And we'll see if he does or does not. Now, what it does for us, kiddos, is it ends the lecture. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quiz tomorrow. If you're not here, you can find a way to make it up. And then we're going to watch a video on Andrew Jackson in the early years, what I've talked about. Okay, tomorrow. Friday, we don't have class, right? Monday, we'll have a big review on this test, and then our test will be Wednesday, and I'm not really sure what we're going to do Tuesday, but we'll come up with something. So basically, we'll have a review next week, and then a test on Wednesday, and then we'll be done. Okay? All right, there you go. I just about got a semester in.
What about that diving picture?
Oh, I'll go get that.